Good evening, Africa and the world. Welcome to a special live broadcast here on Champions Network TV, where we bring bold conversation to the forefront and give you the voice to questions that shape our future. And tonight, we open a sacred and sometimes controversial chapter in our shared history. Our theme tonight is faith, fear, and the future, rethinking African spiritual realities. From the wisdom of the Ngangas to the fear and the stigma surrounding witchcraft and the mysterious call for manjuzu, these are not just tales of the past. They are living realities that influence how we raise our children, treat illness, and understand misfortunes. This is a conversation about belief, identity, and transformation. And to guide us through it with clarity and courage, I'm honored to introduce to you a man of much insight, Jenna, and we have got a panel of experienced people in this area. We have got Dr. Matiza, Bumba Makombe, Masibanda, Soko, and Mr. Makabai, all the way from Uganda, is also joining us. So I leave this time to Jenna to take us through this important topic. So over to you, Jenna.
Okay, good evening, viewers. If you can see the topic that we are tackling today, it's saying faith, fear, and the future. They say rethinking African spiritual realities. So, in short, to encompass all this, we can just say we are talking about religion. So, first and foremost, we have to understand what religion is. Because if we don't understand what religion is, we might get along somewhere else where we'll be lost on lost on the track of what we'll be talking about. Right. So the definition that I want to give for religion would be to say it actually encompasses a wide range of social cultural systems, including the beliefs, practices, and ethics that relate humanity to supernatural or spiritual elements. So now, if you take from this definition, you will see that when we talk about faith, we are talking about something that is unseen, and you just believe that it's going to happen. And because you are not sure of whether it is going to be that way or not, then you have the fear that you find also in our topic there. Right? So you will see that now when we talk about this religion, it is specific for a specific set of people because people are bounded by they might be say boundaries from geographical boundaries, political boundaries, or whatever boundaries, right? Some of them we can actually say the religious boundaries as well, right? Now we want to tackle this topic looking at each of the religions that we do have, because we have got a vast number of the religions, and so we need to see what is in each religion, what brings them together, what is the similarity, what are the differences in the religions, what brings those differences, and these religions, for who are they designed or for who were they designed? Because you find issues where people cross contaminate other people's religions, and then in the name of superiority, we also have to look at that to see where it is used and who uses it. Now, I'll just open this to the floor because I can't keep talking with this African Wi-Fi. Otherwise, I might disappear.
Uh, Thank you, Jenna. So
Yes.
it's now open to the floor. Jenna, just throw some stones to us. There's definition there. There's boundaries and specific to people. So it's open to us. Let's dive into it. What is religion?
Okay, I'll come back. If you say religion, it will come to, if you're asking that question to say, what is religion now? Now, what comes into your mind when you hear the word religion? It is your upbringing that is going to lead you to answer that question. As I've just heard, there's someone there, Shumba, I'll say, it's not Shumba, Umba, I'll come to you there, Makombe. I remember Makombe saying, are we talking about church? Because that is what we've been brought about believing, that religion should be followed meticulously so that you can go to heaven. God knows where
Unfortunately, I was
heaven
not
is,
brought up
what
that way.
happened there.
No. I was
I'm
brought
just
up.
giving you an example. If you ask a person who is also, say, a Muslim, then you say, what is religion? He or she will also just come and say,
To me,
oh,
religion is a set of
are we talking
beliefs.
about Muslim here? Or someone says, are we talking about Hinduism? Mm.
To me, religion is a set of beliefs, and beliefs vary. They are not necessarily divine. It could be something else. I was brought up to win. That's my religion. Victory.
I think we
Who
were
is
brought
we?
up to believe that religion is about Christianity or believing in God. That's religion, but religion is just a practice of beliefs, whether it's our own spiritual beliefs or our own cultural beliefs or social beliefs. What you follow is your religion. Because even the Nganga stuff that we're talking about, that's a religion on its own.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay,
Yeah, Dodamatize.
let's look at, let's delve deeper and say, where did the religion come from? Why did we start referring to the unknown? Maybe for answers
um,
or for, I don't know what else
But
needed in those unknown
Jenna,
circumstances. Yes.
the ground rules are we learn from the known, and then we venture into the unknown. You can't dream of
Mhm.
what you don't know. The brain is not that sophisticated. You can't say I've dreamt of a big mountain without an imagery presentation of it to you at some point.
Mhm. Mhm. But then the problem comes now that you have got that imagery in your head, but now you want to tell other people to believe that there is that image that came into your head, and then people must now accept it as almost a reality.
Systematic sensitization.
See,
You learn as you go. Yeah. You keep seeing an old woman who has got a wrinkled face, then you start thinking she's a witch doctor.
or just a
let me
witch,
say something.
or
Yeah,
Oh,
even just
just
a witch.
yeah.
I think religion is a set of beliefs, and the dominant factor in it is belief in a supernatural being. That could be at the center of it. Now, why does it arise in our lives? As human
Mhm.
beings, we normally have a certain limit to which we can think, to which we can act. And because of that limit, we have the faith that there must be something supernatural that can guide us to go to now a higher level than that of our own limits. And then we will make appeals to that being, we will pray or do whatever it takes so that we get that intervention of a supernatural being that has more energy than you yourself as an individual, that exceeds your ability.
So you're basically saying there is a set of beliefs that are built to us, but at some
Yes.
point, there are other escalated supernatural beliefs that we have to conform to for
That's very
higher
true.
for higher authority or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, before this Christianity religion came, we had our own religions. We had our own beliefs that we followed. Some people still do up to now. And when they came, they brought their own religion, which then um, superseded ours to most people, to most countries, to most people, to most communities. And we tended to stop following our own religion. But some people do. This is not generalizing or anything. So yeah, because back then they used to pray as well. They used to pray like to their ancestors and kupira. People still do, Nana. Even now, people still still follow that. So religion is anything spiritual, really. I mean, if you follow your ancestors and you believe your ancestors can protect you, that's a belief in itself.
Mm, mm.
So
Yeah.
okay, take okay. Yeah, go
Mama,
ahead.
I think varukuragidza kuti varukuda
Lockdown.
kutaura.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't want to say much, but from what has been said so far, I have observed that a religion, either way, centers on a certain power. It centers on a certain power. It can be a supernatural power. In Christianity, we talk about God. In traditional worship, we talk about Mzimu. In Hinduism, they talk about a God in another name, but there must be a power, a center of power somewhere, somehow. And if we agree on that, it then brings us to the Marxian perspective of religion. How did Karl Marx describe a religion? To him, that center of power, according to Marx now, can actually be used as a tool to oppress people. That center of power, whether it's coming from the angle of God or from the angle of our ancestors, Marx then believes that the ruling class uses religion to oppress the people. According to Marx, it's actually the opium of the poor people, something that is given to them as a dose so that they become docile and will not question authority. So according to Marx, religion is actually a tool of oppression. It's a panadol, which he says it can be given to the poor people to opiate their pain and assume that there is some other form of life that is going to be lived after one dies. That's the Marxian perspective of religion. I don't know how Jenna sees that one.
Yes. So I agree with what you are saying there, but so which means in all what is happening is the human being is not satisfied with what he has or what he sees. As a result, you want to find out something that is beyond your control, that drives you, because you don't believe that you are driving yourself. And because of that, now you start now creating your fallacies of saying they should be.
Mhm. When the bigger men in the church call him the Pope or what, if the Pope says God has said we must do this, we can follow that obediently, because there is now that God at the top to whom the Pope seems to be reporting to.
No, obediently, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that one. Because I mean, we have got a
But it
choice.
happens though, because if you look, I watch a lot of documentaries. There are some cults that they believe the leader will say, "I am the Son of God. I'm the returned Jesus," and people will be bowing and kissing his feet and believing he actually is. And some of them gone to an extent of making people believe that they should kill themselves. And we have seen it in Johnstown, for example, where
Subscription to churches is on a felt need basis, isn't it? You're not forced to subscribe.
poor-minded. It's not poor for money.
Yeah,
I actually wanted our Ugandan counterpart to come in on this one.
Okay.
There is an issue which was on the limelight in Kenya, where someone is being sued for massacre, where you would indoctrinate people into believing in starving themselves to death. Have you ever heard about that one?
I've heard about that, but we also had a similar situation in Uganda in the year 2000, where there was, I don't know whether he had been a catechist in the Catholic Church, then he formed a cult. It was called Kibwetere. And he brought in people had to sell whatever they had to go and join. I don't know whether they were taking him the money or something like that. And then after some point in time, they were told now was the time to go to heaven. I think they bought petrol and poured around the place. And among these were even very wealthy people, but brainwashed. Like our brother said, the Marxist version of religion, of it being an opium. When an overdose of it is given, I think some people lose a sense of direction. They become so helpless and confused, and I think maybe that's when they think God is in charge. So they got banned. Now, it was really terrible, and people believe that that person himself seems to have escaped and gone to a neighboring country or something like that. He may not have.
They're not in Bulgaria or something like that.
Yeah. Because they just dupe others. I mean, you have made them sell everything that they have. They have joined you, and probably they are surviving on one meal a day. When they were able to live comfortable lives on their own. So some people really have used religion to destroy others. I don't know for what benefit. So the issue of cults, like our sister said, is really a big problem. And then, of course, now there is a theology these days, which has to do with economics. I mean, they're talking about how praying for you to be rich. I thought getting rich is through hard work, but if prayers alone are to lead to wealth, then we get challenges. So that's where the opium aspect of it really seems to be very, very pronounced. And of course, the preaching of submissiveness. I mean, you don't question authority. I belong to the Catholic Church, and you have that mentality where, I mean, you will not question the priest. I mean, when there are prayers going on, there is no question and answer session. It is a one-way, a barrage of messages, always. And the moment you have that kind of situation, then you are not given room to think. Yours is just to take in whatever messages and given the interpretation of the one who is giving you the message. You are not even being given room to interpret the message in your way and contextualize it and see how you apply that message to suit your life situation. So really, the issue of cults is the limit of it, and the moment, and you find that especially of late, you find the earlier versions of religion that came in, the Christianity and what have you, seem to have been moderate. But then as time goes on, radicalism crops in, be it in Islam. Just actually, was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago in Uganda, there was a fellow who was just riding to go and on a motorcycle to go and explode a bomb where Christians were having a pilgrimage. And then because security trailed them, they had to detonate themselves. A lady. It's the first time I'm hearing of a lady suicide bomber in the Ugandan situation. That is radicalism. I mean, these are extremists of one religion that want to eliminate probably another religion.
Another religion.
Their own religion is supreme or is superior to theirs. So it's a complex thing. But like I said from the very start, that the issue of religion stems from when we feel our limits, our faculties have reached a limit, and we appeal to something greater to intercede for us, give us a breakthrough towards another level, which we may have failed as humans.
So you're politely saying at a certain point in time, our mind comes to assumes it's a ceiling base
Yes.
on which we invite would-be powers to give answers to what we are trying to achieve.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yes.
think we're that.
Okay. So we are all agreeing that it stems from trying to find something that is beyond us. And also, in that process of trying to find something that is beyond us, we also need to try to be closer to that unknown higher power. And then by that process now, you start now to segregate others or to claim that one person is closer to that unknown, and then you try to tell the other people now to believe in what you will claim to have seen. Like I've heard that Mumba was saying, maybe if the Pope says he has heard from God, the same applies also to other prophets. If prophets say, I've just spoken to God directly, it means that person is taking himself to be at a higher level than you, because he is now communicating with God directly. And because of that now, that has now been used as a tool for so many things.
Yeah, but there's something called competition, aiming to gain and win.
I think also as human beings, we are so obsessed with finding answers. Answers to what? I know. If I was talking to a lady who was very devout in one one church religion, whatever. Very, very devout. Growing up, she was going to church every day. All this singing and all this. And recently, she said, "Oh, I've changed. I've joined this one." I said, "Well, why did you change?" She said, "Because this one gave me answers." I said, "Answers to what?" He said, "Well, it made me understand God more." And I said, "Do you really think as people we understand God at all? Because whoever says he understands, how can he understand more than you if you are reading the same Bible?"
But
And she
is it
said,
about
"Well, they've
understanding
given
God
me the
so
answers I need." And I thought, someone will come with more answers and then you jump to that one.
And it's not necessarily through the Bible only. Remember, we were just talking about the higher power. And then the
Yes,
religions, some people
yes.
believe maybe through a cow.
I'm just giving this lady as an example to say, as human
mm,
beings, we look for answers. We really
mm,
Mhm.
we want, and even when we are doing the witch doctor stuff, the nganga stuff, mudzimu, where we still want to know how it was. We want answers. Sekuru, please explain to us. Mushaurugu, people are dying in our village. What do we
mm,
do? Please,
mm,
we look
mm,
for answers all the time. Even if somebody dies by car accident, for example,
mm,
I think Makombe, I've spoken to you about this. Someone dies by car accident or a cancer. We still
mm,
don't find out why did he die. Well, he had cancer. You all know that, but we
mm,
still want the answers behind it. What's behind this? Sometimes
mm,
it's nothing. Sometimes it's just life. But we, as human beings, we are really obsessed with this answer thing. You know, we
mm.
like to understand better than we do.
And unfortunately, the way we want to understand is very unscientific.
That's why we are abused.
And religion, therefore, can be described as a tool of oppression, where whoever thinks is above the others will then use that level to come down on these people and try to make them obedient servants,
And
whether
they
of the
are. They
church,
are
of
obedient.
yeah,
But obedience is
obedient
a choice,
servants, whether
guys.
of the
Yes.
church or
Yes.
the African religion.
They are not being forced, Bakombe. When we say they
Mm.
obey, they are not being forced. They choose because they
They,
think this guy here has got answers.
mm,
There's some
mm, mm,
sensitization that happens which we are failing to identify. Because, I mean, for argument's sake, you don't just go and subscribe to the Anglican Church or to the Apostolic sect for the sake of it. There are
mm,
certain issues you subscribe to in their religion, in their ethos of thinking.
mm,
So it is those that it's that package of thinking that convinces, that acts as a convincing factor for one to be, for one to
mm,
subscribe to it in a holistic manner. I believe.
mm.
You get the answers you want.
I would want to give you my personal experience. When I was growing up, I was very close to my mom, because there was one person who believed in her episodes about and to church. So come every Sunday, I would follow my mom to the nearest church. But unfortunately for me, there was this Jesus in the church that I was also meeting in our scripture lessons in school. So there was this Jesus in school and that Jesus in church.
Right.
Then my mom was kind of indoctrinating me in that
Format.
kind of beliefs. But because whenever I asked my mom for money, if we were going out on sports in school, she would say she didn't have the money. But come Sunday in the church, I would find paying offerings in money. And I asked my own mother, but mom, why is it that when I ask you for money, there's no money, but come Sunday, all of a sudden there's money? You see, she didn't like that question, because for the first time I was showing some intransigence against beliefs that she wanted to put in me. And back home, I was not even given sada that night. I'm saying this as a reaction to what my brother Makombe has just said, I'm then saying through indoctrination, some people, and that indoctrination is the kind of power and authority that I'm talking about. Yes, my mom, she has power, she has authority over me. She wants to indoctrinate me into a certain belief, which I am actually seeing, no, but she's paying money there, but I don't have money here. And we are at loggerheads there. So you find that people can become purely Anglican guys or Roman Catholic guys through indoctrination when they are not even given time to think about it themselves. So it will still come down to that element where we are saying the religion is being used as some kind of tool to then subjugate people to a certain way of thinking, whether they like it or not. Madzibaba Ishmael Nzira, for example, in Zimbabwe. So people were dying at his shrine and were buried in shallow graves within that locality. Imagine how that was happening and how that came to the attention of everyone. And even when the government tried to intervene to say, no, what has happened is wrong, the people themselves could not even testify against Ishmael in court because they are so indoctrinated, they are so whitewashed. And when they are supposed to bring in evidence, they can't. So religion is a very powerful tool of oppression.
It instills fear in that process.
I think fear. I've got a personal experience, not as tough as the one highlighted by my brother here. My mom had a friend. My mom used to be a teacher once upon a time. So she had her friend who had a young son like me. My mom encouraged me to go play at their house, and interchangeably they would come to our house as well. This young guy was called Christian. My mom's rule was, you do not eat at Christian's house. No matter what happens, you do not eat there. Okay, fine. We went to Christian's house, and I was playing with Christian for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Christian's mom suggests we have a snack. She brings 2 pieces of bread, one for me, one for Christian. And I say no. She says, why are you refusing? Because, Christian is also having a piece of bread. So at that point, my mom was looking elsewhere, far afield, trying to ignore this conversation. So the pressure got the better of me and I started crying. So Christian's mom pulled me to my side. Why are you crying? Don't you like the bread? Or do you want me to put some more jam or something like that? And I said, no. I don't want. He says, no, I want you to have a piece of bread with your friend here. Okay, tell me one reason why you don't want to eat this piece of bread. Then I said, I don't want to eat this piece of bread because my mom said if you eat at Christian's house, you'll be bewitched. Because your mama not Christian, you know where you are. and that gave Christian's mom the more power to enforce that I eat this piece of bread. But my mom never came to my rescue. Instead, she said, no, I never say that. I did not say that. No. I don't know what you're talking about. But at some point, yeah. So that kind of indoctrination does exist. It's dormant. We get onto it, and we equip ourselves with it, and then wait for things to happen. And when the opportunity comes, we utilize it, only to find a lot of resistance out there. So that was my experience.
But I think we are talking so much about the ills of the religion a lot, but we must also look at things like the moral, how the religions actually create some code of conducts and how they mold the behavior so that we live in a better society, regardless of which type of religion it is. I think on that aspect, they all focus on almost the same thing: control.
Are you trying to talk about positive corruption or what?
You're starting with me now.
I think there's a mind control aspect of religion.
Mija?
It makes people think in the same direction. Of course, religion also offers us a way of how we try to interpret what goes on in the world or around us, in our lives, in the relationships we have. Of course, it also makes us, like you said, there's aspect of discipline, thinking of making us compassionate, empathizing with other people and the rest of it. There's also the aspect of us understanding fate. There's the issue of fate is quite emphatic in religion. And then understanding what is good and bad, that is ethics. I think ethics are a central aspect of religion, whatever its form. And it's a central aspect in the superstructure. Really, things like politics and religion more or less are at the same level in the superstructure of society. It's talked about instilling order, and then the unity, because the issue of going to pray together or praise together or whatever together, that the creation of a community, I think it's a central aspect in this kind of belief system we're talking about as religion, because at some point in time, I think they need to congregate somewhere to say, either is to say thank you or to appreciate the good harvest of the year, or to celebrate or pray for a certain success in one's life, or the birth of a new child, that kind of thing. So there is creation of order, creation of unity, of purpose, and always reminding yourself that you must appeal to that superior where you feel you are stuck. So the kind of discipline is the discipline that is created around that belief system.
So the supremacy we're talking about is the last hope. That's the last hope, is when things go really bad, is when we want answers. We subscribe to that high authority. Okay.
And now, okay, so you find that now that supremacy you're talking about, the people that claim to be closer to God or talking directly to the above superior beings or whatever they are, they then come back now prescribing some rituals and some practices that is got to be done, and then also establishes those social structures.
But Jenna, is anybody nearer to God, like you're saying?
They claim so.
It's a belief.
No. I'm asking you, is it common knowledge that everybody's close to God?
But mabona vanhu vanosunga mabhandi ekunzi tine risti rakakomborerwa.
Yoda kunetseka.
Vakutsinga madomasi evanhu.
When they bring the
I think some of these
then
things, like I'm saying, I mean, we have learned over time and subscribed to these kind of practices to the point that they've become the norm. And once they become a norm, it is some norm of some sort, and then value is instilled into it to ensure that it makes more sense and valuable. Because I don't understand. You know, I went to a certain church once upon a time, and it was a big Sunday. There was this big drum, and they were putting in some money, 20 this, 20 that. Mr. and Mrs. Son, £4,000, this, that. I was there on invitation, and I also wanted to give an offering. So I asked the guy who was next to me, so who counts the money? That was my question. And the guy couldn't answer at all. He says, I'll get you one of the ushers to answer you. Okay. I was holding my £10 note. The usher came. He says, brother, come, follow me. Come with your Bible. So I followed him out. This is a very well-known church. And he says, I understand you've got a question. He said, who counts the money? Who counts the money? And they said, we can't tell you that today. But for today, we won't allow you to go back inside the church to follow the proceedings of the day, because you won't understand the doctrine of our church. But if you leave us your address, we'll come to your house and then we'll explain the doctrine of our church.
Thank you, Makombe. I will say this because I now want to leave the session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Marxian perspective of religion is that religion creates a false consciousness. It creates a distorted understanding of reality that prevents people from questioning their surroundings for their interest, and that prevents them to fight for their economic justice. The thing that we are calling faith there is a euphemism for fear. The reason why people become faithful is because they are afraid to ask. And because of that, they then follow blindly. So the inability to ask questions in any religious setup creates false consciousness. And what we call faith is actually another meaning for fear. Because the moment you are failing to ask, to say, but why? Who is counting the money? Because you asked, you were then an enemy. To say, yes, who counts the money after this session? Not anyone could have raised his or her mouth to say that. You picked that courage because you were questioning the intricacies that were involved in this religion. So, Jenna is talking about the good thing that religion does. What it does is actually that it acts as a form of some social control, just like witchcraft. When I was growing up, and when I came closer to the field of someone who was known as a witch, I could not get there and get milli or sugar cane there. So because this person is being labeled a witch, and witchcraft is a form of social control that then does not allow me to steal. You see, so religion under witchcraft now is asking me not to question, to say, what is it that stops me from eating this sugar cane? So I will leave you guys with this view, which I also personally believe in, to say a religion, whether people look at it as bringing morally upright people, my view would then be to say those people are suffering from a certain fear which prevents them from exploring themselves and from asking whatever authority is put on them. And that's what we call moral uprightness. Should someone say, no, I want to drink wine because my Jesus Lord was drinking wine, and who the hell am I not to drink wine? Then that person becomes enemy number one. I will listen to this discussion again when I get home. I should be driving away in the next 10 minutes, and I'll be home 30 minutes, but I have a challenge. People start calling me from all over the world. At times, I'm not even able to come into this session. Thank you for the day. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Masisi.
Right.
It's okay.
Let's also give our viewers an opportunity to also put their comments in the chat box if you are watching from the YouTube. Also, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I think Dr. Matita is give us a mouthful of things to also think about. There were some words which were coming like cows, radicalism, extremism. Anyone comment on those ones with respect to what we are discussing in this forum?
The moment we go into radicalism, we go into the minefield of politics and social disorder or social order. So I wouldn't be ready to tackle a topic like that on a day-to-day.
Is there a noise, or is it me that there's a noise?
I'm hearing, but I'm seeing where is it coming from.
Can you mute yourself?
If I mute myself,
yeah, it's from you, Misha. Or is it?
Yeah, Bisha kubata kuseri koko.
I just heard one point, guys. Fear bit, because with rituals comes fear. A lot of these religions, if you don't do this, then you won't get that. Like Mr. Makabai was saying about Mr. Makabai was saying we are told in our churches if we pray a lot to get rich. So some of them, just for example, they say if you don't pay time, you won't be successful. If you don't spend 1 week up and mountain praying, you won't get answers. And I've asked a few people, how come this big God, the God, we have to fear him so much? If it's our Father, can we not just love him instead of all this fear? If you do this, you're going to end.
Being made to fear is part of the game. To frighten you, make you fear, end up paying money, getting lost, going in there, just following like a sheep that is going to be slain. So we cannot run away from that issue of being made to have a lot of fear. Because those people, they say God is ruthless, he can kill you. And they say they're very close to that person, that God as well. And as if now they are the people that are going to intermediate between that God's wrath and your being, or maybe we can say for you succumbing to whatever will be thrown to you. So they want to try to pretend as if now they are the ozone protecting you. And as a result, they end up now, if it is Christianity, they end up now talking about those payments, those offerings and tithes and what have you. What you had, Mr. Oh, he's gone out. Okay. What you have heard Wumba saying, to say, if I ask who's going to count the money, and then the next question, they know it will be a leading question to say, where is the money going? So they would rather stop you from there. And then they instill fear in you.
See, that's my problem right there. Because if this big spiritual being, even the ancestors, why are they so angry? Why is everyone big so angry that God is? You have to fear. You have to.
But so look at it from this point. There are certain cues we have got to follow in life, and there are certain ancestral structures we've got to follow, whether you like it or not. These are ingrained from a very, very young age. Remember, I keep telling you that, you learn from the known into the unknown. That little bit that's inscribed or instilled in you stays with you for a very long time, if not a lifetime. It's a system whereby you grow up and develop and manifest into something dangerously or positively big. It's like if you grow up in an open, what I want to call an open-minded environment, you do whatever you like. If you grow up in an environment where you learn about witches, drunkards, and so on, you grow up a different person with different values. I grew up in a church environment, but I was very, very, very alert in my upbringing. I experimented a lot with a lot of things. Yeah. I think, in the positive sense, I could see Soko raising her head. What I'm trying to say is, it's called adventure thinking. If I do this, what will happen? If I don't do this, what will happen? If my friends are doing this, what will happen? There's certain things I never experimented with, like smoking. I never experimented with it because I never found it interesting or intriguing. I tried a beer once. I loved it. I really loved it. But going into other illicit substances and so on, it was not my game. So as you grow up, there's a certain manifesto one builds around them as they grow up. That manifesto carries you into a man of what you want to be. You see, some people never substantiate or grow out from bad manifesto plans. They don't substantiate or consolidate their manifestos into something meaningful, and so on, to the point that they execute a downfall in thyself. So when you grow up, you learn a lot of things. You start learning that, there are witch doctors. They are there, they come at night. Right? You start learning things like that. Somebody will tell you that, oh my God, your leg is swollen because of A, B, C, D, or this situation means X amount, X, Y, Z is going to happen to you. So it's about you surfing the correct propaganda which you believe in and the wrong propaganda which you don't believe in. That's what I think.
Okay. Now, if you look at the way we've been going on, we've been talking mostly about Christianity, yes, but okay, talking about the fears of the Christianity, how it was designed. Look at the way they say Jesus was killed, and you made to believe that someone really died for you, very painful death. So each time you want to do something else, you will be reminded vividly that the man was killed for you. And so, death, we don't, that death is something that nobody wants. So we'll never run away from that issue of being frightened, actually, or instilled a lot of fear, so that you can believe, or you can be made to be closer.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from. In the locations, I'm sure, Mr. Makabai, there are locations in Uganda as well, densely populated areas. If you are a prostitute and you are found to be a prostitute, you are stoned. Do you know the reason why? Is to deter anybody who wants to go via that pathway. If you're a thief and you are caught, you will be stoned to deter anybody who wants to go via that pathway. So I'm trying to equate it to your Jesus Christ model that this guy had to die for us to facilitate ABCD. So, I mean, death is utilized to substantiate certain belief systems.
Okay.
Mañana.
Ah, yeah, you're muted, Jen. Jenna, you're muted.
We are muted.
I was saying,
That's Mijaura.
how to prepare. Well, now look at the images nowadays. Those people people got some of them going maybe again to the regions, especially the African. What do you foresee in the future? Where are we going with these religions?
They are a mode of safeguarding. Look at the increase in the number of churches across the world. This one does that. This one invites you to wear a suit. This one only wants you to wear khaki shorts. Ask yourself, in the Western world, the mother's union doesn't have any regalia, but in Mother Africa they wear all sorts of regalia to identify which church they belong to. Over here in England, it doesn't happen like that. You can go to church in your jeans. Nobody bothers. Which means there's a certain discrepancy within the religious fraternity, or perhaps the Christian fraternity. And when we want to historically go back to the dark world of Christianity, the Church of England actually created, a bank that would lend people money, at exorbitant rates. It's a true story. Don't look at me like that, Jenna. It's a true story. It happened and they only closed it, I think, 2 years ago.
Church of England was created by a king who wanted to marry another wife.
Yeah.
Just for that reason. And then he killed his other wife who wanted to marry. This is the king who founded Church of England, Henry VIII.
Centenary Bank in Uganda is owned by the Catholic Church. Actually, the way it started was we came up parishioners. I remember I should be a shareholder during my ordinary level vacation. Through the parish who are being asked to make a contribution towards the establishment of a church. That was in 1984, meaning that we should have been the shareholders. The next level that moved on was that those shares were owned by the parish. Ultimately, those shares became owned by the diocese. And somehow it got mixed, but somehow the Catholic Church has.
You're frozen. That's why it's the richest church in the world. Then why not? You guys are on mute. Makombe are muted.
It's frozen.
Yeah, Makaba is frozen, but Makombe was also talking.
No, I was not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Makaba
he was
frozen.
making a point.
I think our system is when two people someone is speaking and you unmute, then it creates the feedback noise.
Yeah, let's wind it down. It's been an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, Jenna is talking, but he's muted. Yeah.
Okay, right. No, I was saying, okay, I heard what your Makombe was talking about, the uniforms and what. Isn't that church specific? Because like you find the people with those regalia. Are you saying the people, the Catholic in England or the Methodist in England, or
No.
they don't put on? Because they don't put on any
They
regalia.
do not. They do not.
So where do these people get it from? Because isn't that those are the origins of these churches that we
from Africa. When they migrate, they bring.
That was easier for them to control Africans. It was easier for them to control us.
Yeah. So which means so also all this brings back the same story of saying it is a powerful tool for colonization and control.
It is. Yeah. Right now, if I want power, I become a prophetess. People will be bowing at my feet.
Yeah.
And all it takes is one simple miracle, and people go, "Oh my God, so and then
a miracle for that matter.
An anointing. Ana anointing yakapenga unoona wakupfugama panze
vanhu
vanotopfugama. Have you seen in our churches? In our churches at the moment, you see grown men kissing another man's feet. Bowing.
Guys,
but does this also But does this also happen to some other religions, such as the Islam, the Judaism, the Baha'i faith, the Hinduism, all those religions?
Of course,
do they operate that way? Unfortunately, now Maswada is gone out. She would have given us a fair share of where she is there in the Arab world. Where is she?
Where is Maswada now?
I don't even mute
ayo ari kupi kunyika kwaari angadai
ari Saudi Arabia
kuita
azoenda sei kwei
because initially before we started here, she explained to me. I was talking to say I had a cousin who went to
I think we can bring it to close.
And he called me just after landing.
Yeah.
But there's explain to us
if you
how
don't
does
unmute yourself when someone is speaking, it makes it.
okay. Now she must explain to us how does this is it Islam? How does it work there? What
Beg your pardon?
that's about
The bank.
So there was a
oh,
lady
sorry, not
who,
yet. She's not she didn't come back. She didn't come back. Okay.
she's
Then
in Saudi Arabia.
I also had got a child that went to study in India, and she was telling me of people being bent, people being carried on the shoulders, and then they bring a lot of firewood,
No,
then bend the person.
there's a lot of extremism when it comes to religion.
Differences in the
There is a lot of
the,
extremism and all this fanatic political stuff. When you are looking from outside in, you
mm,
ask yourself why are they doing it, but people inside there you cannot talk to them. They will fight you. They believe, and they are so indoctrinated. They don't hear you. They will tell you are saying that because you don't believe. That's what they tell you. If you try to tell them why are you kissing this guy's feet, they say because your belief is very little. That's why you don't believe. You don't see it. That's they will fight you. These people. When you come to their pastor, they will carry a grown men on their shoulders. Grown men. These people. You guys, I don't know. I said if my husband was to kiss another man's feet, that day I divorce him. No, we are not doing that. You are muted, Misha.
Let's bring our discussion to a close, and if we can just give our final remarks, the three of us that are here. I think we've covered quite a number of things with regard to this faith and religion. Who want to go first?
I can go.
Soko?
Okay, I think just like everything else, this is individual. I don't know what people see to get to the point of fanaticism in this spiritual world, or what answers people are trying to find, because I don't think we can understand whether our spiritual side or God or allow whoever to the extent that one person can say, I understand him so well I can explain him, or I understand the spiritual world so much I can explain it. I don't think it matters much. I think we are just here to live our lives, to love each other, to give to each other, to not be cruel, because we are here just not for a long time. Whatever answers we are looking for, I don't think it matters to me anyway. I don't think it matters to understand what God really is like. To me, it doesn't matter. As long as we live next to each other in harmony and love each other and not harm each other unnecessarily, don't be cruel unnecessarily. I mean, I don't see the point of going to the fanatic side to be hating each other for the sake of religion. My religion is better than yours. My God is better than. I don't see the point of that.
Thank you, Soko. Do you want to say anything, Mr. Makabai? I think
Yeah.
you are representing the whole of Africa apart from Zimbabwe.
Religion is, like we said, a belief system, and to enforce it, an aspect of fear has to be instilled so that people conform to, or they toe the line. And it is also, it shapes the way we look at the world. It shapes the way we relate to each other. It helps us distinguish between what is good and bad, and probably what should be done when something good is done to you, what should be done when something bad is done. Now, as time goes on, it changes. Like we observed, if we look at the Christian faith, which has metamorphosed into having a situation where you have self-made priests, you have self-made bishops, and what have you, self-styled bishops. And then ultimately we graduate into situations like cults, where now there must be unquestioning belief of what is going on. But like Sister Soko said, the bottom line is, why don't we coexist? We should have a belief system that helps us to coexist, know that we can all fit in this mother world. We can support each other in this mother world, regardless of our beliefs, and we can make it a happier place. When you look at things like commitments, I mean, this, like for example, the churches, the tithing, to me, that's a tax system because it's based on a percentage. That's a tax system. Supposing, because like our brother questioned, who counts this money? Of course, he was going then to ask, how is it appropriated? If you're asking me to pay 10% of my income, you are talking about gross income. Why don't you ask me to pay 10% of my net income? And then, why is it that it should be appropriated by somebody? I can also undertake to use that 10% or even more to support other human beings around me to make the world a happier place for all of us. And then we shall balance our books with that superior being at some point in time when we get together. Say, well, I did not make this direct payment, but I did this to humanity. And I think I was doing the will of the supernatural being, whether it's God or name it. So there is stealing of fear, creating kind of a tax where others, the leadership of these religious settings thrives, survives on the flock, as they would put it. I think that's a situation that really ought to be looked at more critically. And of course, the issue of not giving room for people to think and reflect over whatever teachings, preachings, or whatever that is put forward. That alone makes it at times a questionable kind of belief system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Masibanda is trying to get in, but because she hasn't put her audio on, I can't put her into the studio. Jenna.
Right. I think as my closing remarks, I say let's approach this um, religion cautiously and with due diligence, because if you look at these religions, they were actually formed in different places for different needs and to address those different needs. Now, the issue of cross contamination should actually be avoided. If you look at the Christian, the Christian religion, that Bible, when you read those verses in the Bible, you find that at times it starts by saying, "This is a letter from Paul to the Corinthians or to the Ephesians to who." But now you don't read where that letter was being sent to. You just go inside and you pick a verse and then you say, you are now a Corinthian or you are from Ephesus. It's not your letter. It's very specific to the people that it was going. So let's approach it that way. If we look at the African beliefs, we also had our needs that gave rise to the religion that we had, and it was working and it's still working for us. That's why you find at times what works for me doesn't work for you. So let's stick to our prescribed, or I can say religion, in whatever place we are. So because when you choose from one place to the other, you still try to sit. Right, Misha?
Um, Thank you very much to our panelists. This was a powerful and enlightening conversation, and we cannot. I cannot thank you enough to our panelists, because I think this was one of very open discussion, starting with people like Dr. Matiza and Umba, telling us about their personal experience when they were growing up, and how this issue of religion bring a very uh, core questions. And so it's a topic, as everybody is so it's alluded, it's more personal, and it's sometimes we then question how the so-called God, or in Africa ancestors, can be so angry to punish people, and there are some fanatic activities that happens when a man kisses another man because they are close to God. But anyway, as Jenna has alluded, the idea is let's stick to our lane. He was borrowing from Paul, who was talking to a specific group of people and addressing certain issues, which also brings to Umba to say to these groupings tend to and to have a set of issues they address, and people who are subscribing to having those issues addressed by those sects, then they subscribe to them. Either you become an apostle, you become an Anglican, because that sects tend to speak to your issues. So I think this issue of religion is a complex, and we cannot exhaust it in one sitting. But the most important thing is it starts the conversation, not only among the panelists, but among even the viewers and whoever comes across this broadcast, to say, let's begin to question. Uh, as Mr. Magabaya says, let's have this belief system help us to coexist. We are in this place for a short period. Why don't we just be happier with our neighbors? So with these words, um, we will close, but let us remember our beliefs shapes our communities, and the choices that we make shape our children, and our courage to question things determines our future. And let's keep going with the conversation in our homes, in our schools, and place of worship, even in our hearts. Until next time, from me, Mija, and from Champion Network Television, where the truth made tradition and voices rises. And good night to everybody.